reflect on the loss on the weekend and move forward to these last 3 weeks with a slim chance now? Still
Yeah.
the finals.
So pretty much it's as normal. So we reviewed the game. We've addressed things we want to learn out of that game as a group, which we do every week, and very quickly move on to focusing on how we want to play this week. So that's the absolute nuts and bolts of it all.
Until last week, it was probably still in your hands if you still won every game. Now it's not in some
No,
regard.
what's in our hands is how we perform over 3 weeks. That's all we can control. Unfortunately, we've never had the ability to pull the strings on other games and get things to go our way. So it's never been a focus for us. It won't be a focus this week. All we're going to be really aiming for is to play our best footy this Friday night.
You mentioned on Saturday in the post-match you wanted to look at the contested ball differential from that game in this week. What have you learnt out of the game and what do you need to adjust?
There's a fair bit that we went away from what's been a real strength of ours, and so the players actually addressed it themselves, presented to each other in the meeting yesterday, and are very clear on what didn't work for us. So that's well and truly been addressed.
And how do you handle the short turnaround, particularly with someone like Dyson, who's obviously got a little niggle?
No, he hasn't got a niggle. He's sort of carried a little bit of soreness, but he actually pulled up better this week than he did the previous week. So that's a real positive.
Are you likely to get the 2 guys back that were laid out?
At this stage, Guelphy's still a bit crook, so it's going to be hard for him to get up. But Matty D's feeling great.
Yeah. What's your plan with Joe Danaher this week? Is there a chance to train with the group this week in match simulation?
No, he's not. No, not this week. He's still a bit off that. So I think when Justin Crowe does the injury update, he'll address where Joe's at with everything.
I think Mark Harvey said this morning that he would train in match simulation the end of this week, so that's not...
End of this week. Well, match simulation is today, and he doesn't look like he's kitted up, ready to train. So, no, he's not doing... When I think Harves talked about match simulation, he was probably talking about Joe on his own on Saturday trying to run and replicate game stuff. But I don't think that's happening this week, no.
Jake Stringer, is he okay to play?
Yep. Well, when I say that, on the proviso, he ticks all the boxes, obviously, today and pulls up well from that. But no, we fully expect him to be right.
On just a broader scale, last year obviously targeted the trade period and really were quite active in that front. And that was a difference from the club's been doing in the previous few years. Do you think you'll do that again this year? And have you identified a need on the list that you look towards in the off-season?
Yeah, we've certainly identified if we were to go into trade, that's what we'd be looking for. And Adrian Adoro is doing a huge amount of work on presenting to list management committee around potential availability of players that would fit the need we might look for in a trade specifically. And then obviously the overall strategy also includes the draft and things like that. So we'll be very active in terms of discussions within the trade period. Whether anything happens, I'm not really sure.
Do you think it is a midfielder? When everyone looks at the midfield and says maybe it could do with some extra beef?
Look, our midfield over the last 8 or 10 weeks has performed really strongly. So I'm happy with the way that Langford's developing and the way McGrath's coming along. And what Guelphy's added in there, and we've obviously also got some young players in the VFL. A couple have had a taste of it this year in Much and Clark. So we've got some good developing young players. But in terms of getting in someone who potentially is already at a really mature elite level next year, that may be something we'd look at.
And how are you progressing with talks on Brendan Goddard's future? Are you any closer there, or is that something we can expect at the end of the season?
It could come at any time, but it all depends on a lot of factors. So the next step will be to sit down with Brendan and his manager with our list management group and talk about all the possibilities of next year. So that will probably happen, I would hope. Maybe not this week being a shorter week, being a Friday night game, but maybe next week.
Would you like a decision before the end of the home and away season?
Would I like one? For me, no, it doesn't really worry me too much. But in respect of out of respect for Brendan and his standing in the game, if he'd like to know earlier than that, we can make a decision earlier.
Would you make a charge against Aaron Francis?
I was surprised when I heard it. Yeah, so we're not sure. We're just working through now whether, I think we would like to challenge it, but whether we're prepared to go through all the protocols that you need to challenge a fine. But fair to say, we were surprised when it came out.
It looked like a pretty fair bump from the angle that was shown on the broadcast.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's 10 or 9 or 10 angles of it, and there's one angle that they've based the charge on. So I haven't actually seen that angle yet.
John, I know it might be difficult for you to comment, but you had a lot to do with Andrew Gaff in his development. Have you got any thoughts on the incident that took place and his state of mind this week?
I certainly feel for, firstly, Andy Brayshaw and his family, because serious injuries of that type in our game, they're quite devastating to see and for the families. But Andrew Gaff is, from my coaching of him, obviously a very clean ball player, and he's reacted out of character, and he's aware of that. And I've got no doubt the remorse you saw from him is genuine. It's just quite a surprise in general to see that happen.
And can I ask you were coaching when Brent Stakel was hit. Do you remember how you handled that as a coach and some of the experience or learnings out of that situation?
No, I don't really remember too much other than probably similar, being pretty surprised when it happened that someone would that would happen in a game. Someone would get themselves that wound up to react like that.
Has the Gaff incident changed your thinking around Essendon for all at all?
I haven't given that any thought at this stage.